Hi, friends. All right, today we're going to talk about the art of rhetoric. But before we do, let's think about your favorite commercial. This is your warm up. What do you like about your favorite commercial? What makes it your favorite? Is there somebody special in it? Do they show or say something interesting or particular? Does it make you want to buy that product? Turn at your tables and talk to your neighbors. What are your favorite commercials? All right. So let's finish up what you're talking about. And then I want you to think about your favorite commercial as you learn about the history of the art of persuasion. Persuasion is an art, and it was first labeled and talked about in ancient Greece. Here's a picture of Greece. And there was an ancient philosopher. A philosopher is one who loves wisdom, named Aristotle. Aristotle was a famous Greek philosopher who studied the art of persuasion, how people are persuaded. Plato was his teacher. You may have heard of these guys. I hope so. And Aristotle's most famous pupil was Alexander the Great, who built maybe the first empire through his use of being able to give a great speech and, of course, in battle. So they figured out what made people persuaded and how you could persuade others. So, sorry, there we go. What he figured out in 300 BCE, so that would make it 2,318 years or so ago, was that there are three different ways people are persuaded. And he named them with Greek words that are ethos, pathos, and logos. Here's the book. He did write it. It's a 2,300-year-old book, but people still look at it today because people are kind of the same as they were back then and are persuaded by the same things using the same ways. So ethos, pathos, and logos, you'll see in almost all arguments. Sorry. So they will show up. So you'll see this first one's called ethos, and you'll want to write this down in your notes, in your notebook. Ethos is an ethical or a moral argument. So that would be something like that if it's right, you should do it. Or ethos also comes up with an expert very often. So the E stands for expert or ethical. Pathos is the second one. Pathos is an emotional argument relating to your emotions, and logos appeals to people's logic. So ethos is the first one that we want to talk a little bit more about. The Greek word ethikos means moral or showing moral character. For an ethos argument to be effective, you have to believe in the person who's giving it. You have to trust them, think they're a good guy or a good lady, and that you don't need to suspect why they're doing it. It very often will show up as an expert endorsement kind of an argument, something like a doctor saying, you should buy this medicine because it will help with that condition. Or maybe Michael Jordan has fancy shoes, and so you'll be able to jump as high, as he can if you buy the shoes, or something like that. We must believe that the person giving the argument, saying what that is, that what they want us to do, is an expert or credible in that way. Judge Judy can tell you to sit down and be quiet and tell you about the legal system because you believe that she knows what she's talking about. We must believe that the speaker doesn't intend to do us harm. It's all based on the reputation of the speaker and or the trustworthiness that they have, that we feel about them. Here's some ethical arguments that don't really have anything to do with an ethical argument exactly, but they do have to do with the expert part of it. Models, we expect to know about makeup. So if they tell us what to buy, as far as makeup goes, we can trust them. If a celebrity told you how to parent your children and be the best, have the best marriage in the world, you may not want to trust that argument. So how is this one ethos? Well, it's a dentist. Dentists tell you about toothpaste. If a dentist tells you, then this is toothpaste. That's what you listen to. Second one is pathos. Pathos sounds like pathetic, sounds like sympathy, empathy. Those are all feeling words. And pathos is an emotional argument. They want you to take what they say and believe them or do what they say because of the way it makes you feel. Maybe not think about why, but just do it because you feel like it. This can come from feelings like love, fear, patriotism, guilt, hate, or it can come from joy or just humor. The use of pathos can be manipulative. So, for example, here's a propaganda poster from World War II. You're meant to feel fear based on this poster because, look, that poor woman and her baby are in danger. They're in danger from the boogeyman hands, which are this, the Nazi symbol here, and this is the Imperial Japanese symbol, and we should be very afraid. You should be very afraid, and so you should go put your money into the government, give your money to the government, buy a bond so that the government can go fight these evil boogeymen. Not because it's a good return on your investment or they give good interest, but because you're afraid of what might happen otherwise. These are very famous and very easy to see pathos arguments. Those poor little puppy dog eyes. Oh, you want to help that puppy? I better give some money. Or little children, sick little children asking for money to help them cure cancer. Of course you should do that if you're a, good person. Polar bears. Oh, it's a baby polar bear. We should definitely give Coca-Cola some money to help protect this little baby polar bear, even though logically this baby polar bear probably lives in a zoo somewhere and it won't be affected. Okay? These little polar bears. Oh, what is this argument? It's a feeling argument. Tell your neighbor what this argument's all about. All right, and our last one is logos. Logos sounds like logical because it is. It's a logical appeal to your logic. It's meant to make you feel smarter than someone else if you do this thing, or maybe make you feel dumb if you don't do it a certain way. Or it gives you statistics and facts to back it up. Now, they don't always have to be true facts or good statistics, but they're making you use statistics, use your brain to justify why you would want to do it. They want to make you feel like you're smart. Whether or not it actually is smart is another question. So in this, the audience relies on reasoning and facts, anything with numbers, statistics, or just you'd be stupid not to is a logos argument. This is an example of one, the Mac versus PC ad. They give you a big old list of reasons why Mac is just better than the PC. There's a little bit of pathos thrown in there too, because this guy definitely looks a lot more normal than this guy. And it makes you emotionally feel like, he's an ethical, trustworthy person. So they can all be mixed together. But the basis of these ads is that there's a list of reasons you should do it if you're smart. So that's primarily a logos argument. Here's another one. Around the world on 47 tanks. We assume that means this has got good gas mileage. We should totally get this Camry. This is a good car because we won't have to fill up with gas. Or this one, you've got a sheep and a Prius, and the sheep is emitting more methane and bad stuff into the environment than the Prius is. So it's a no-brainer. If a Prius is better than nature, then we want to buy the Prius. We'd be stupid not to. So again, to review, an ethos is an ethical or a moral argument. And the pathos is the emotional argument, can be kind of pathetic. And the logos is a logical argument, which makes sense to your intellect. All right, so that's the end of the first bit. Now let's go do some practice.